All right. How is the sound, Isaac?
Sound is A-okay.
All right. All right.
Good to hear your voice.
So, Chevra, good evening. With the help of Hashem, we are learning today's 3 Prakim Rambam. We are in Maaseh HaKorbanos Prakim Yud Gimel, Yud Daled, and Tezvav, beginning with Perek Yud Gimel. Perek Yud Gimel is going to start going into the details of the very different types of menachos that we began in the sugya of menachos in the Rambam and Perek Yud Beis. We're going to learn about the Chavite Kohen Gadol. We're going to learn about the Minchas Soilas, how we mentioned already yesterday in the previous Shir in Perek Yud Beis, that really there could be 3 times when oil will be applied to the carbon mincha. There's what we call the matnas shemen bakeli. Then you have the belila, the mixing of the oil. Then you have what we call the yitzika, the pouring of the oil. And we're going to learn the minchas machvas, the minchas marcheshes, the minchas ma'afei tanur, which in itself, as we said, has 2 pratim. There can be chalois or the kikin. And we're going to learn about the seder of the bringing of the menachos. Perek Yud Gimel has 14 halachas, beginning with halacha aleph. Zok the Rambam. Mitzvahs asay, it's a positive mitzvah. Lasois kol mincha kemitzvaso amur b'Torah. Mamish, the same lashon that Rambam uses by the karbanos from animals. We're using the same opening when it comes to menachos. Beginning with the Chavite Kohen Gadol, like the Rambam halacha beis v'keitzad asiyas Chavite Kohen Gadol. That maybe Yisodin Shalem u'Magdishay. First, the Kohen Gadol brings a Yisodin, which, as we learned, is the minimum amount of flour needed for all of the menachos. V'choitzeyu b'chatzi Yisodin sheba mikdash. And he divides the one Yisodin by using that clay in the Beis HaMikdash. So we learned in the Beis HaMikdash there were many clay shadasin that were to measure liquids. There were only 2 to measure solids. Here we go, the solids. So there was a keli that had the amount of a half Yisodin. Sha'af al pi shehi kerei v'chetzoyin eina miskadeshes lachatzoyin. In other words, first you're magdish it in a clay shadus of 1 Yisodin. And then you divide it into 2 halves. Or maybe ima, together with this 1 Yisodin, you bring 3 loig of shemen. It's normally the klal is like we mentioned that for 1 Yisodin you have 1 loig of shemen. There are exceptions. Here we have an exception. Shemen, as it says, ba shemen te aseh. And the Chazal learn over there that the Torah uses the words al machabas. And there is a limut shemen. Because just like by Minchas Nesachim, you have 3 loig of shemen. If you remember, the Minchas Nesachim, the ones that come as an accessory, really you have different shiurim. You have from the par, or from the para, or even from the egel, from the large animal type, you have a half a hin. But from the smallest animal type, from the keves, the kizba, not from the ayo, there we have a 1/4 of a hin, which is 3 loig of oil, and there's the shemen the Chazal learn out, and that is lo ha'isiv lo shemen, at least like the smallest keniske hakeves, like we mentioned, for which you bring for the 1 Yisodin 3 loig of oil. Oh, I apologize about that. Oh, boile. Oh, boile. Hashemen. Hasoilus b'shemen. You mix the soilus with the oil, and then you have to scald it with boiling hot water, and then every detail. Also by using the clay shardis, and each one of them, right? Now the total you will have will be shteim esrei chalos. Now, when you make these for the flour, but you're going to is for the viasin. which means that one revius is a 12th of the 3 loik, which is exactly how much oil is needed for each challah. Revius l'chol challah. And first you only bake it a little bit. Like we learned before, you have to scald it with water. So first you bake, and then you will fry it on a flat frying pan. Which you don't even use all of the revius to begin with. The revius that's going to be used for this challah, some of it is used in the beginning, then you use some for the frying. You don't have it fully cooked because the Torah uses the words tifune or tufine, and tufine is a composite of 2 words of cooked, right? That's the fei, and then the nun is for na, so it should be bashel v'na gewaldik. Then actually you take each challah itself and you divide it into half. Now that's done by approximation. Why is that? Because when the Torah says that the chaviti kohen gadol, half was brought in the morning, half was brought in the afternoon, not shot 6 whole challahs in the morning and 6 whole in the afternoon. No, each challah was divided into half. So it's amazing. So it's even though you divided the flour, has nothing to do. You make each challah separately using a total of a revius of oil for each challah, and then when you have the 12 challahs, you divide them into half. And then from each half that you have, you fold it weiter to l'shnayim. In other words, if you have the challah and you divide it into half, so you're beginning with half, and then when you divide that again into half, in order for you to have a broken mincha, the Torah uses the words many times that pasois oisoi pitim, you have to divide it into shtikalach, into pieces. That will be the piece, so it's a piece of a piece. So forth. In the morning, and then everything, the half of whatever you have left over, which is half, the other half, this is the chavite kohen gadol that the kohen gadol brings every single day. But if you have the minchas chinuch, we're speaking both about the kohen had doing avodah for the first time, and the kohen gadol serving the first time as a kohen gadol. They don't bring half in the morning, half in the afternoon. The quantities of the carbon is exactly the same. The way to prepare it is exactly the same. It means you're going to have a total of 12 chals. But Ella makriva kol ka'achas with the whole climates, with the whole avodah. And they are going to be totally consumed on the fires. Halacha, hey. And now let's begin. So as we said, we have these 5, the 5 of the 9, the 5 final of the 9. The first of that, these are the korbanos that can come as a neder or an adava, right? Minchas soilas, machvas, marcheshes, ma'afitanur chalos, ma'afitanur rekikim. That's the 5. And the Rambam is going to go through every single one. Minchas soilas ketzrois and nasis, maybe isore in soilas, 1 isore. Or if you want, again, when you make a donation, what did the Rambam say yesterday? The minimum is an isore, but you can have as much as you want. Oy kame Israel is kfinidrei. Now here, unlike the Chavite Kohen Gadol, we had that shemen from the Minchas Nesachim, which is also the exception that sometimes you would have 3 loig for 1 isarim, right? Then you had the 4 loig for the 2 isarim, or the half a hin for the, so you, for the 3 isarinas. Here, the rule is for every isarim 1 loig. If you made a nether to bring 10 isarins, fine. So then you have to bring 10 loig. Umayded be'isarin shal mikdash, and you imbue the flour with kedushas haguf by putting it into the klisharis. Which one? The one that measures the entire isarin. Now, the noisen shaman bekeli oil, not all of the oil, not all, but some of the oil is going to be first put in the keli. It's after you amagdish the flour, when you are going to begin the process of adding the oil to the flour, not flour then oil, but you would first put oil in the keli. Again, not the entire loig, because we're going to use it many times. Number 1. Then with b'achakach you put all of the soils. Then you add more shemen, not all of it, but a lot more of it. Uboilo hasoilis boy, and now you have how to knead the menchasoilis. Right? It's not going to be scalded here with water. It's flour and oil. And now, now you put it in another clay shades. Now that you have what we would call the dough, flour, and oil, and the third oil application by the soilers is going to be yitzika, or here in the singular, vitzak l'toichei shemen. Oil will be poured onto it. You're not going to mix that oil anymore. You're going to have as a layer of oil on top. Now, the shemen shenasan tchila im shemen habolol im hashemen sheyatzak. All of these three oils, the first matnas, the shemen in the keli, then the oil that you're pouring to do the belila, to doing the mixing, and then the yitzika, all of them is one like for the isarim. So if you brought two asrainas, so you're going to have two loigen, so divided equally. Now, I don't think it was divided into thirds. There was a seder. A little bit of oil, mastama, the roiv of the oil was used when you did the belila. And then you poured the remaining oil on top of it, and only after, now that it's ready, so what you have is just a mixture of soilus. You have a mixture of dough. That's why, if you remember, we learned was 2 days ago, the whole chiddush that even this mincha, the shirayim, is going to be divided by all of the kaihanim of the Beis Av. Even though everyone is getting just a piece of dough. That means after they get the shirayim, then they have to bake it. And now the levina, which is always only one fistful of levina, is going to be put on top of whatever amount of flour oil that you have. That's mincha soilus. And you can appreciate the word soilus. Soilus, I know soilus means flour. Point is that it's offered, not prepared more than just having this dough with no water, flour and oil. Vav. Now, minchas hamachvas and the marcheshes, like we mentioned, they're both prepared very similar. The only difference is that machabas, it's when it will be fried on oil on a pan, it's going to be a flat pan. And therefore, since it won't have a lip, so you have to make the dough harder. And the marcheshes is a pot that is deep fried. It has a lip, it has a rim, which allows for the batter to be softer. Okay. Ketzad. So this, it's equal to the soilers that first, noisen Hashem and bekli. And only after you put some of the oil in the keli, then the noisen all of our soilers. And after you put the soilers for noisen all our soilers, Shem and acheru boilel hasoilers. But now, before, that was it. That was just yitzika. No, not now. Now, and then you're going to need it with warm water. Oh, that's now you have to be careful. It shouldn't become chametz. And now you will bake it. We already mentioned baking doesn't only have to be in an oven. Baking means now you don't. If you said then you use the machmas. If you use the word marcheshes, then you do marcheshes. And then, well, prices here also you would have to break it into pieces. And now you put it in the clay shades. And now you're going to have the final step, the yoitzik kolel shara shemen, for the third time, the third oil application. And then the levain is put all on top. Explains the Rambam. Marcheshes is a pot that has a sof, it has a rim or it has a lip, however you want to call it. It's a deep pan. And therefore, therefore the dough could be soft. It's not going to roll out. It's not going to roll off. It's not going to fall down. Machvas is a pan. You're only using the koyach of fire. But since the pan has no lid, so the dough to begin with is made harder, firmer. Okay, so we went through 3 of the 5 neder and adams. Soilus, machvas, marcheshes. Now we're going to go to the final 2. They're both called ma'afei tanur, but one is ma'afei tanur chalois, and the other is called ma'afei tanur rikikim. Halacha ches, says the Rambam, that minchas ma'afei tanur ketzad im chaloisi. So if it's the one ma'afei tanur chalois, loaves, then boilel hasoilas b'shemen. As you will notice over here, you don't begin by putting oil first in the keli. That step is not done over here. You begin by taking the flour. And by taking the klal, for every yisarin, you have to have 1 loin. If you made a donation to give 10 yisarins, 10 loin, whatever it is. First, you have to mix it. Ubaylo hasoilas b'shem. Afterwards, you're going to be lush b'poishtin. You will add again the warm water to knead it further, and you will bake it, not the way we learned before in the machmas amar cheshes. You're going to put it into an oven, and after you baked it, you will break it into pieces, and you put it into a clay shutters, and then you put on top of it the lavoina. So over here, you don't have Yitzika Shemen. Truth is, you don't have two of the three. You don't have the Nesina Shemen Bekeli, nor do you have the final Yitzika. Shenemar, Chalois, Matzois, Belulois, Bashemen, all that is done is the Belila, to the exclusion of the first and the final oil application that we just learned above in the other carbonates. Now that's called Chalos. Now, what would make it be called Rikikin, which is the fifth? So lush you don't first knead it with oil, you mix it with water. And then you anoint, you put the oil on top of it. Is defined by they are meshuchen b'shemen. Now, hold on, they're ma'afeitanu. So really what happened is that you didn't knead it in oil. You kneaded it only in poishtin. You put it into an oven. This is the most similar to the way we make bread today. After you remove it from the tanur, then you would be moishachit, you would smear it with the oil. So here again, there was only one oil application, which is called the meshicha. Halachates, ekeitzad moishchan. So maybe loik shemen l'cholison. Now again, you didn't put the oil in the keli. You're not doing belila. You're not doing yitzika. For every yisodin, you have an entire loik. So what happens is, if you're going to pour oil on top of this bread, it's going to spill to the sides. So you smear it or you pour a little bit, and the oil gets absorbed in the kick, in the wafer. Then you pour more, and then you pour more until all of the oil is now smeared on top of this of the kicken. All of these four types of breads that are baked. Why is he mentioning four? Because the only one of the five that's not baked is let's learn over here.
Anybody can hear me?
I hear you.
I don't hear nothing. Rabbi, what happened? Your mic is not recording.